Thank you. Please forgive my lack of memorization. So 11 months ago, I started to plan my wedding, and it's on the calendar for this weekend. So literally by next week, I'll either be married or I will be a runaway bride, and the jury is still out. But either way, at this point in the planning process, most of the planning's done, and I'm in the execution phase. So I'm waiting to see how things that we, or I, planned it. Many people experience a very stressful time when wedding planning. There's a lot of decisions and there's a lot to juggle. But for me, although there have been stressful moments, overall, I've been pretty calm about it. And I think the reason is because I realize that many of the tactics that I use at work when I'm practicing DevOps can actually be used when I'm wedding planning. And surprisingly, a lot of the skills and things that I learned while wedding planning can be brought back to work. So let's jump in with some examples and use some core DevOps principles to demonstrate this. So principle number one, and there's a lot of those infinities with hearts, by the way. So number one is automate everything. So in DevOps, this is used to streamline processes, reduce errors, and increase efficiency. When wedding planning, and if there's a tool that already exists, I don't need to do it myself. Or if I can have a system do it instead of doing something by hand. So instead of hiring a calligrapher to design a custom font and handwrite my invites, I can have a computer do it and print it out. And then the computer can automatically upload all of my guest address and name information, so I don't have to do it one by one. Number two, cost optimization. So DevOps teams use this to continuously monitor resource usage and eliminate waste to reduce cloud expenses while maintaining performance and scalability. The average cost of a Minneapolis wedding has scaled to about $30,000, average, and it's higher in other parts of the country. But many people don't want to spend that much, and I was one of those people. So the truth is that the most reasonable wedding budgets are actually easily surpassable. So I would recommend to everyone creating a wedding budget to make it knowing you're gonna spend about 20% more than you hope. I was one of those people. And then you've got to constantly revisit that budget as your planning goes on to make tweaks where needed. Principle number three, focus on value. So DevOps teams must choose to provide value to customers, both when delivering software, but also when choosing what to develop. So when wedding planning, my fiance and I had to constantly decide what we felt was valuable and what wasn't. We would need to make compromises and allow time to put together what we wanted, and then be willing to let go of what we thought didn't provide value. It's the KISS principle, no pun intended. Principle number four is microservices architecture. So break down your large applications into smaller ones that can be developed separately. In wedding planning, it's easy for things to pile up the last week. I know that. But some pieces need to be thought out in advance. It's recommended to purchase your dress 9 to 12 months before the wedding. And for a popular summer Saturday, you might have trouble booking vendors if you wait until the last minute. And I know all of this because I saved a lot of stress by breaking my to-dos out into smaller pieces that could be done independently of each other. And yet I was still up until 2 in the morning yesterday sewing a ribbon. So, number five is iterative development, a process where software is developed and delivered in small incremental cycles, which allows for continuous feedback and improvement. So instead of trying to make the wedding perfect in the first time, I just focus on getting some ideas flowing. And we can always iterate and make tweaks later if we don't like how it's going. After giving it some time and space, oftentimes you find what you've got is good enough. So those are the top 5 DevOps principles that I brought from work into wedding planning. But what is the biggest lesson that I learned that I could take back to work with me? Innovation and creativity. Thinking outside the box. Don't do what's traditional just because it's what people expect. So for me, doing the traditional wedding was too extravagant for our tastes. So instead, we worked to find a compromise that would suit my desire for something formal with my fiance's desire for something cost-efficient and casual, as shown by this poster that I made with materials that I already had at home. So we found a solution that will fit our budget while making both of us happy. Thank you so much for your time.